Hello everyone. In this video I will give a general introduction about the criminal law in India. With this video we are starting a series on criminal law and Indian Penal Code. We will provide you videos on Indian Penal Code also from today. I am Ratnesh Parikh and I welcome you all to our channel LNC Pro. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe it and help us spread more knowledge. In this video we will deal with three things: origin of criminal law, development of modern criminal law in India, and mental elements in crime like mens rea, intention, knowledge, etc. So let's start with the origin of criminal law. Earlier in the ancient times, when the people were not civilized, there were no criminal law in uncivilized societies. Anybody could attack anyone and anyone's property, and the attacked person would either be helpless or he would take revenge. A tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye, a life for a life was the forerunner of criminal law. Gradually, as the time passed, the injured person agreed to accept compensation instead of taking revenge. And slowly, this kind of change gave birth to an archaic criminal law. But application of these principles remained with the parties, and slowly this also changed, and this function came to be performed by state, or you can say kings. This is how criminal law was originated and came into existence. But the modern criminal law is different than the ancient one. Let's see how modern criminal law developed in India. In British India, a charter of 1668 came, and that transferred Bombay to East India Company and directed that proceedings in courts should be like British courts. And in 1672, a court of judicature was established. This court gave punishment of slavery in cases of theft and robbery. In 1726, the Court of Directors made a representation to the Crown for proper administration of justice in criminal and civil matters. Mayors' courts were established, but the laws were arbitrary, as mayors were mercantile servants of East India Company and they had very little knowledge of law. In 1753, another charter was passed. After this, English law was no more applicable on Indians, and they were left to be governed by their own laws and customs. In 1773, the Regulating Act was passed. Under this act, a Supreme Court of Judicature was established in Fort William, Bengal. This court took cognizance of all the matters. In 1833, Lord Macaulay moved the House of Commons to codify the whole criminal law in India. He wanted to bring uniformity, as Muslims were governed by Quran and Hindus were governed by Manusmriti or their other personal laws. Thus, the year 1833 is a great landmark in the history of codification in India. The Charter Act 1833 introduced a single legislature for the whole of British India. The legislature had power to legislate for Hindus and Mohammedans. In 1834, the first ever Indian Law Commission was constituted, and according to the reports of this Law Commission, a draft was prepared for criminal law in India. It was passed on October 6, 1860, which is now known as Indian Penal Code. It superseded all rules, regulations, orders of criminal law in India and provided a uniform criminal law irrespective of their caste, creed or religion. The Indian Penal Code still meets the needs of present day society. Now we know how the criminal law came in existence in India. Now let's see some mental elements in crime. There are some mental elements like intention, motive, mens rea, knowledge and innocence. These elements play a very significant role in criminal law. Let's talk about intention. Criminal intention means the purpose or a design of doing an act which is forbidden by criminal law. An act is intentional if it exists in idea before it exists in fact. As a general rule, every sane man is presumed to intend the necessary or the probable or the natural consequences of his act. Now suppose A is a normal person who is of sound mind. He goes and shoots B. It will be assumed that A intended to kill B. And this presumption of law will be there until there is a reasonable doubt on the existence of the intention. Now let's talk about motive. Motive and intention are not same. The motive for an act is not sufficient test to determine its criminal character. A motive is something which can contribute to some kind of action. Now suppose A went and shot B. Here we assume that A had an intention to kill B. But A killed B because he wanted to acquire her property. Now this is called motive. But an unlawful act cannot in law be excused on the ground that it was committed from a good motive. Now let's move to mens rea. Mens rea means a guilty mind. It is one of the principles of English criminal law that a crime is not committed if the person doing the act does not have a guilty mind. But there are some exceptional classes of offences that can be committed without a guilty mind. There is a very famous legal maxim about mens rea. This is actus non facit reum nisi mens sit rea. This means the intention and the act must both concur to constitute the crime. Now let's come to knowledge. Where knowledge of fact is an essential ingredient of an offense, it must be proved that the accused has knowledge. For example, A has some serious problem in his brain and B knows that. After knowing that if he hits A on his head, he will die for sure. Now if B hits A on his head with the knowledge that he will die for sure, here A has committed the offense of murder. But there are certain offences in IPC where accused will be punished irrespective of the fact whether he had knowledge or not. Now let's move to innocence. In law, every person will be presumed innocent until guilt is proved. And the burden of proving guilt will be upon the person who alleges, who puts allegation. Until guilt is proved beyond reasonable doubt, the accused will not be considered to have committed the crime. In this video, we have learnt about origin of criminal law, development of modern criminal law in India, and some important elements of a crime. With this video, we are starting a series on criminal law and Indian Penal Code. Stay tuned for more videos on IPC. If you still haven't subscribed our channel, please subscribe and press the bell icon so that you will be notified when our latest videos are released. If you have any suggestions, queries, complaints, you can comment or you can write us at lawhouse17@gmail.com. You can send a mail at this email address. Thank you for watching the full video.